we'll get the other members. All right, so I'll open the meeting. This is Bob Whitmarsh, co-chair of the Gloucester Historical Commission. I'm calling the Historical Commission meeting to order. This meeting is being held by Zoom. This Zoom meeting of the Historical Commission will be consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen in to the meeting in real time. Okay, so I did get your email about the minutes, and we'll vote on the minutes on the next meeting. So that was the first thing on the agenda. So we'll skip on to the next thing. And since Ralph is not here, and he was the one that was working on a demolition delay, I think maybe we'll postpone that one for the moment. So he did send out an email with a copy of a proposed demolition delay, and I read it, and it looks pretty good, you know.
Bob, can I interrupt for 1 second? I think Ralph might be in the attendees.
Oh. How do we get him on here?
So I already gave over the hosting. So Jude, if you just look at the attendee list, you should be able to kind of hover on him and move him over to a panelist.
I'm on my iPad, sorry. Attendees.
There we go.
All right, and Tim Quinn's joined us. I'm going to put him on as a panelist.
Okay, Ralph, by the way, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I do. Yes, that's good. Wonderful.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Sorry about that. I'm on my cell phone. I'm running late. I apologize.
Fully understand. I appreciate that. Okay, so we just postponed the approval of the minutes. You haven't missed anything yet. We're going to work on that next time. Jude has got them almost finished, but they're not quite ready to review tonight. So we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is demolition delay. And I read through the delay or proposed ordinance very carefully, and it looks very good. You know, I don't know if we want to have like a subcommittee kind of go over this a little bit more in detail and fine tune it in case there are any issues that we might want to address. Because when we do propose we do want to have it so it's written in such a way that there won't be any confusion to the city council when they will be eventually voting on this. Would you like to make any comments on this demolition delay, Ralph?
Yeah, just a couple of points. So when we met with the mayor, there was a few things that he had concerns about. One was the title. We're calling it a demolition delay. He thought it would be better if we called it something like historic preservation ordinance or historic structure preservation ordinance or something around those lines. So right. I changed the title. So that's one major change. The other major change is the time of the delay. We moved it from, I think it was, oh my goodness, a year down to 3 months. The mayor said he would not support anything that was of length, which has its issues. Certainly, it makes it easy for anybody wanting to demolish a historical property. Makes it easy for them to just kind of wait it out for 3 months. But at least in my opinion, I think that it's better to get something in place, if nothing else, if for nothing else, for visibility purposes. And, we can take it from there.
It gives us a
but-
chance. Yeah, it gives us a chance to at
Exactly.
least know it. Yes.
Exactly. So really, those are the two main changes. It was that the length of the delay and what we're calling it, instead of a demolition delay, make it a more palatable ordinance titled ordinance, like
Right. Right.
historic preservation.
Right. And I think he was trying to help us. I don't think he was trying to.
No,
Make-
I agree. Yes,
He was trying to help us, and he was really, having been a city councilor, he was trying to give us the he kind of knows, what could, work in terms of getting approved and what might not work. Yeah, in any case, it'll be a challenge. Now, he was suggesting like a 2-week delay rather than even 3 months, if I remember correctly.
It was. I think he said 30 days. But
Okay.
yeah, I know it's longer than what he suggested.
Right.
Maybe we can talk about next steps here. But maybe when we meet him, we can show him what the state suggested, and their suggestion was a year delay, and that a 3-month delay wasn't very effective. But
Right.
I was trying to compromise
Right.
between what's effective and
Right.
and just
Yeah.
having something that's useless.
And to be honest, in my opinion, if 3 months proves to be one that's not very effective at all, we'll go back to the city council and plead with them to tell them this isn't really working as well as we want it to work, and we'd like to get it longer. And then we'll show them examples of why it doesn't work, But if it works, we'll go with it. It could work. So we'll go with that. And I think the important thing is I believe that we can at least get a review of this, and we may be able to, be in touch with the developer or the property owner to get some kind of a communication going on where we might have a positive result that works for the developer or property owner and our interests in preserving significant historic structures throughout the city. And the thing we always want to stress, we're not looking to preserve everything just because it's old. There are situations where something really isn't that significant, and it really is not that productive. It really doesn't, it's not usable, and therefore it ends up being torn down. An example of this would be where the Beauport Hotel is. There was a historic building there. There was a Bird's Eye fish factory there, Bird's Eye, and that was a historic building. That's where they did all the development for frozen food, frozen fish in this case, and that brought about the feasibility for frozen fish, and that was a very historic building. But I toured that building, and it really wasn't anything that anyone could reuse and make the building work. It was, and here's an example that the hotel that they built there is actually more in keeping with the character that we like to see in the city. If you look at the Tavern building, it has the same kind of roof line. And there was another building there before near Pavilion Beach along that waterfront. They look very much like the hotel we have there today. So I think they actually recreated something that really fits in with what we'd like to see for a look for a historic community. So anyway, just that was enough of that. So I just want to say that there was something. I wasn't too clear, and maybe I missed something here. And I always wondered about this. When you have a delay, when does the clock start ticking? Is it when they applied for the permit? Is it when we get notified? Is it when we notify the applicant that that we need to review it? Okay. So when does that clock start ticking? That was a very important thing to me. Because if
Yeah.
it starts ticking when later, not when they first apply, that gives us more time.
I think it should start when we get notified.
When we get notified?
Yeah, because if they get a permit and the building inspector for whatever reason doesn't notify us, then we could burn a week, and with 30 days to review, a week is a substantial amount of time.
Right. So when we get notified, then we have 30 days to let them know if the property would meet the criteria of needing to be reviewed, or whether or not a permit could be issued at that point. And that would be, not to hold up the project any further. So that would really only be a delay of really less than 30 days from the time we're notified.
Sorry, Bob.
What's
You know
that?
what I could do? You know what I could do? I could put a timeline in, a little graphic timeline that shows the milestones. And I think Jude is right, that it starts once we get informed of the demolition. But I can add into that document a little timeline to make it, explicit about time periods and so forth.
That's a good idea.
So I will
Yeah.
do that.
Who's responsible for the building inspector's responsible for notifying us, right?
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Like at some point I feel like there should be some, like a formal notification process, like something in writing that says, so no one can be like, oh, well, I tried to call Bob, or I tried to call, like someone tries to call me on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock and no one's going to get a hold of me.
Exactly.
So I feel like it should be like a formal notification.
Yeah.
Like but it's also like, the other thing is, what happens when we get that notification? And let's say this is in effect, right? And we get that notification tomorrow. We can't take any action without calling a meeting.
Mhm.
So it's something we have to vote about. So should the clock start ticking at like the following meeting? Like the next scheduled meeting, like the HDC does it? Because it's gonna be crazy if we get like if we get 2 or 3 and we have to have multiple meetings a month to address it.
Yeah. All good questions.
Yeah.
And
So
then we have to
I
clarify.
think that's what we want to clarify, and maybe we could find out from other ordinances so we can figure out. And if we can't do that, we can actually contact some other historical commission.
Because if it starts at our next meeting, we meet once a month. I mean, we're pretty close to religious about meeting
We're
once a
getting
month.
there. That's right. And we could always call a meeting too, if we need to.
Yeah. If it's, well, we don't have a meeting scheduled, we can call a meeting, but if it's like we meet in the last Monday of the month or whatever, if someone
Right.
applies for a permit, that buys us 2 weeks. Let's say if they apply for the permit in the middle of the week and we say the clock starts ticking at our next meeting. And I think maybe we should have
Yeah.
maybe we should put together just among us, like a set of criteria that would qualify that building.
Right.
Like what's the historic, like it's a 50-year-old building. There are so many 50-year-old buildings in Gloucester. Like
Right.
we should have a set of criteria, that it resembles the original structure. It was, someone of historical significance occupied it, something like that. Just some criteria
Right.
that we have to, like a checklist, for instance.
Right. Now, I know other communities that have a demolition delay, they must have a time when the clock actually starts to tick, and it probably is the same. I would say it would probably be the same across the state, but it may not be, I mean, there is sort of a template for writing these demolition delays. And I think it will be very important to follow, if there is a precedent for this, to follow that precedent, so that if a developer is coming from outside of Gloucester and they've been through demolition delays before, they really know what they're gonna be up against.
I
in
wonder,
terms of when that
I wonder
delay.
if I wonder if MHC has like a model ordinance.
Hmm?
I
Who?
wonder if the MHC has a model ordinance.
They do.
Yeah.
And I've got it, but it doesn't really talk to the specifics about the timeline. So when do things kick in? I can reach out back to them and get some guidance on that. And then put together the timeline, as a straw man,
Right.
and bring it back to this group.
Right. I believe Beverly has a demolition delay. And I think Essex does too. And Rockport may have one too. So we can check some communities and see.
Right.
We can maybe review their demolition delay and see if it makes sense. And then if it doesn't, then we can ask them what their process is and how that works,
Yeah, I mean, I could take that action item, Bob. I can
Okay.
do some research and understand, what the progression of the process is, and when does the delay kick in, and so forth. So I can do that.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Any other comments from the members here?
I thought that, Ralph, I thought you did a great job that brings everybody to the table, not in an adversarial kind of way.
Right.
So,
I agree. Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep that on the agenda for the next time. What would you say, Ralph?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
And we'll fine tune it. We'll polish it, and see where we go from there.
right. Okay. All right. Okay. Historic plaque procedure. I think, is that you, Jude, that's involved with that?
Not quite, but I sent out, I think I sent it to everybody, a list of resources for people that, we could put it on our website. I don't know how to do that, but for people that would be interested in trying to find out the history of their house.
Mhm.
It's like, I tried to separate it between like stuff that everybody can, it's free. And then
Right.
stuff that people might be interested in, some of like pay sites, you pay like whatever, $60 or $70 a year and you get access to like newspapers or whatever. And then some other stuff I think was like linked. You had to be a member, but it wasn't, you didn't have to pay for it. Like you had to like put an email address or whatever and have an account, but it's free.
Right.
And I feel like that's just, most of what I do starts there.
Right.
I probably get 80% of what I have online, and then the rest of it in like the Cape Ann Museum archives.
Right. And some of the resources would be go to Macris. That's the
Macris is on there.
right. And then the other thing would be the archives committee. They can research.
Yep.
Things like that, research properties and find out information on properties. And of course, the Cape Ann Museum actually has a lot of historic things in their library, and the Sawyer Free Library. Those are all resources. And of course, you can always check the city records for which actually the archives would do that in their research. They do a lot of research, so they're pretty effective. They're very busy, but very effective. So
I
yeah.
did start poking around some of the, I know we talked last time about boulevard houses, and that has turned into quite a daunting task.
I guess the beginning of that. What kind of houses?
The boulevard houses that were moved.
Oh, yes. Yes, that were
So,
moved.
yeah, so I started trying to put together some stuff, because I think I mentioned Fred Buck had given me a packet one day like all this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so he left it on my desk at the museum. It doesn't really, it's old permits, like permit to move a tree, permit to move a house, but it's just basically like, I don't know, I, the undersigned Giorgio Stacy of Gloucester, blah, 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 about moving a house. And then it's just a 1.5 story building situated on Western Ave, measuring 21 feet by 14.5 feet, yada, 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 to be moved to the aforesaid, Western Ave, middle, he would have to go through Western Ave, Middle Street, Pleasant Street, Prospect Street, East Main Street, Bass Ave, Saywood Street, whatever. But it doesn't give any like addresses, so I tried to hone it down. Just a couple
Wow.
of the ones I knew. I tried to hone it down by, through the city. I went through the city directories. I went through the 1919 directory and then the 25 directory, the
Mhm.
23 and 25 or whatever. But street addresses, I know on Western Ave, street addresses changed. So when they tucked the house in, they changed all the numbers. It's quite daunting to backtrack. So
Mhm.
for instance, the last one they moved is now 20 Western Ave. It's a little white house, with like a little turret window in the front.
Yep.
That was moved to 22 and then they switched it to 20. So it's a lot of, the museum said they don't have anything that other than what I have that indicated
Right,
where they are right now.
right.
And I don't have pictures of any of them. I mean, I suppose the not Corliss, what is it? Whoever did the pictures of the houses in the 1880s would have something resembling them.
Right,
But
yeah,
I know there was a candy factory at the end
it was.
isn't in the city directory, one of the city directories. And then there was some of the houses, the owner of the house didn't live it at that time. So like what was coming up in the city directory was different from what's on the 1917 or 1919 city map. So there was a whole bunch of the addresses are all messed up. So it turned into a bigger project, but I'll plug through.
Right.
There's a couple, for instance, Centennial Ave, they closed a street. I think it was Dyke Street, and then they made it Centennial Ave. And then one of the houses was moved to 2 Centennial Ave, which is now like 8 Centennial Ave. But it's trying to do it on an iPad and a laptop is
Well,
difficult.
that's
I
kind of
mean,
interesting. Yeah.
so
Back, my father was born in 1913. I believe he lived at 2 Centennial Avenue. I always thought that was I thought that was near the corner.
yeah, it's the one behind Poseidon's.
Okay, the house behind
Yeah,
Poseidon's?
the one right after Poseidon's. I think it also had, a
Okay.
lot of them had that like little built out window. That's like a little
Mhm.
turret that comes off the front of the house.
Yeah, the bay window.
Yeah, a lot of them, but it wasn't just the bay window. The entire like front of the house was
Right. Yeah.
was that.
Yeah.
And there was some that had like porches over that. So like you'd come out and it would be like a porch, but that porch roof is gone now. So
Mhm.
I don't know. They look like 20. They look like 20 Western. That's kind of what I
Okay.
go on. One of them
Okay.
had 2 and it was a double address. And then the city directory had like 60 Western Ave didn't exist on the map, but it exists in the city directory, and 62 doesn't exist in the city directory, but is on the map or something like that. It's weird.
Wow,
They're not a lot of things aren't coinciding
that's tough. That's
as well as I would have expected them to in the 1920s, but at any rate, and then people moved. So like someone that was in one of the houses on Western Ave, like when you look at him in 1923, he's in my house. But this wasn't moved here, and someone's living in the house behind me that was a boarding house that wasn't moved there. And I think they plugged a few in on like Rigg Street, the non-Victorian looking ones and the non-gambrel roof ones up there.
That's
but
how you
just-
can tell.
All those addresses have changed, and I don't know enough about house styles unless I see the pictures. So like
Right.
I'll go for a walk around, like we were walking around the other day and I saw one, but I would need to see the pictures. So maybe I'm on vacation in 3 weeks, so I might pop into the museum and see if Trenton's been like very helpful, but they just don't have that material.
This might be something we want the archives committee to weigh in on.
Yeah, so
See if-
it's not gonna
help
be, it's not gonna be a precise search, I guess, long story short.
Right, right. But now I know of a house on Lewis Court, which is coming from where you live. It'd be the first right.
Yeah, it's
onto
right over my
Mansfield.
driveway. So
It's
like where I
Mansfield.
park my car behind my house, that's Lewis
Yeah.
Court.
Right. There's a house there. I think it's the second house in. It's a very colonial looking house, 2-story. So that house was moved from the boulevard. I do know that. And
Yeah,
there may
that-
be some others on the same street.
Yeah, there was a bunch moved to 8 Lewis Court.
Mhm.
That was 44 West, 74 Western.
Yeah, good.
So it ran from 44 Western to 78 Western, and 78 was
Right.
the summer candy kitchen.
Right.
I did see a picture somewhere. I think it must have been one of like on Prue's blog, but that last house that was
Right.
the last house standing, and everything's like demolished and dug out, and her house is just like plopped in the middle of that, because that was 72, and that's at 20. It's 22 Western in 1926, but it's 20 Western right now, I believe. It's a white
Right.
house.
When I was searching for my first house to buy, I actually had looked at a house on Lewis Court. And that's who I happen to know about a house that was moved there. And it was on the market for $10,000. And I didn't want to buy it because I thought it had problems. Because I noticed all the sawdust from the beams and stuff, that would indicate they had called powder post beetles. And the thing I should have thought about is this house has been here for at least 200 years, and it's still here, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, and it is still there. And I was afraid to buy it.
So there's one here that it was moved to like the westerly side of Perkins Way, that little like turn street that goes by, it like cuts behind Poseidon's, like right at the cut bridge. But it just
Oh,
says
yes,
the westerly-
right, yes. Which
it
one-
says
which
the
house?
westerly side of it, but I like the city directory doesn't have. So like someone that may have sold their house that didn't move with it.
Yeah.
Isn't the city directory is not going to tell me like that, where that house went. They're just going to tell me where the individual that lived there now lives. So it's become kind of this is what the application looked like.
Oh,
Something
wow,
like that.
wow.
And it doesn't really tell us much. Fred just gave it to me. I mean, there's dates on it, like 4/12/21, but I don't know what that means, because that must be like a 1921. But it's like written on by someone after the fact, like the archivist or whatever.
Right,
So I don't know whether he pulled it from something,
right.
like one's
What-
4/04/11/7/21, but that's, I got
Right.
these in 2014.
What was the time period that you can determine that the homes actually were moved from the boulevard? What,
I'm guessing it was, these are all, if the dates are right, these are all 1921. Because the boulevard wasn't open till 25. Yeah, November 2nd, 1921. November 2nd, 1921. July 27th, 1921.
yeah,
March 21st, 1921. So it looks like 1921 was when all the moving was done. Yeah, November 21, March 21,
right.
April 21. So it looks like 21 was when all the actual physical moving of houses was done.
Right. When was the, you may know this, when was the Fisherman's Memorial, when was that dedicated?
I think that was dedicated in 25.
It was.
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
the Boulevard might have opened like at the end of 23.
okay. Yeah,
That
that
was
was
the goal. But he
try
died,
sometime.
George Stacy died, I think in 25 or 26.
Okay, right. I wonder if he lived in the house that's next to the bridge on Western Avenue, the big house that was on the market.
That big,
Just over-
that could be that big stucco one.
It's the one, no, it's the one that's, if you go over the bridge toward West Gloucester, it's the first house on the right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the one that's like right on the river. That I think that was his house.
Right,
It sold for like $1 million. It's like, it was like gutted. It was on the market like the end of the summer. I'm pretty sure that was Stacy's house.
Susan, are you having trouble with your mic? We're not hearing you. I think you may have to go to the menu and say join with audio. How can we get her so she can talk? Jude, can we do that?
Hi, you're asking me.
Yeah.
Sit tight for a second.
We can have a call on my cell phone and then she could talk that way.
All right, so I just muted her. I'm gonna try to unmute her again.
She's still muted. There we are. Okay.
No, nothing.
Susan, raise your hand if you hear us. Raise your hand.
Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, she hears us. Okay. All right. I could have her call my cell number and that way she can.
If Susan, leave the meeting and come back in, I'll let you back in. Is there a chat feature?
It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with that house that we were just talking about now that it just sold. It was in pretty rough shape, so I'm not really sure what the intent of the new owner is or who bought it, if it was a contractor or not.
Right. It's in very bad condition.
Yeah. Now, it was owned by the Stewart family for many, many, many years prior to its sale. Yeah.
Mhm. She's talking, but I don't hear her. I wonder if it's a problem on a mic on her end.
It seems like that's the case.
Susan, can you call my cell number? It's 978 985 5706. Technology is great only when it works. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Dan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. A little bit of echo there.
She's gonna have to mute her computer so that it doesn't reverberate between the phone and the computer.
Okay. All right. Why don't you mute her, Jude?
Oh, yeah.
I can hear.
No, she has to mute her audio on, like her output of the computer.
Okay. I
No, I
just
mean,
did
I muted
myself.
her.
Okay. That's working? All right, I think it's working.
I think I still have an echo.
Okay, but I hear you okay, so that's working. Maybe I could turn the volume down slightly, make that work a little bit. Okay, does that work better? Try that.
Well, let's see.
Yeah,
Well, what I wanted to say was George Stacy died in 28. I don't think this is working.
yes, it is. We heard you. Yes, and you said George Stacy died in 1928.
Right. And I have all the Thomas Sears photographs of the moving of the boulevard.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'll be awesome.
So I can send those to Jude or to everybody.
Okay, we're hearing you okay. We just get an echo here. That's all right. At least we can communicate. Okay. So,
So yes, that house, 109 Western Ave is the George Stacy house.
Yes, it was 109 Western Ave.
she said 109 Western Ave.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's see. So in regards to the historic plaques, is there any vendors that we can go to? Did anyone find out if there's anyone we can go to have a plaque made?
If I recall in our last meeting, there was a couple options that were all people out of town, correct?
Yes.
Hold up 1 second. Susan, turn down your volume all the way down because you're going to be hearing us through the phone, okay? So if you turn down your volume on your computer so that we're not getting feedback.
Okay.
All right, that's good. All right, we solved that. Okay,
Okay,
good.
Okay.
That's great. I'll turn up the volume
Sorry.
now. Yeah. Turn that up. Okay, good. Okay. As you were saying, Tim?
Oh, I was saying, I think on the last meeting, we said there was I think 2 options of potential vendors, but they were both out of town. And there was a couple options, whether there was like vinyl versus wood and the price discrepancy between those. And the price being significantly higher for the new vendor who was currently doing them, I think, right? Is that where we left off?
Right.
You potentially have the option of looking at talking to the cabinetry shop at GHS and getting the students there involved, as well as the Cornerstone Creative nonprofit on Beach Court downtown, who also have the ability to do that. So I can reach out to both of them and find out, engage the interest. Do we know if there's a design that I could send to them as a reference, like a template that we currently use?
I'm not aware of that.
There was the size wise, like a template for like,
Well, the design has to be standardized in certain,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, there is a stand. I think it was in Susan's email that she had sent. I can try
Okay.
to dig it out. Or on the, yeah, it was
Sorry,
like,
I can't hear.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna,
Let's see. Hold on. Can you hear? Try it again, Jude. Say it again.
Susan had sent an email with the quote from the guy that was out of town that's redoing it. That's like, went from $75 to $200 or whatever. But I think that the design for the plaque is in that email.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
You heard that okay, Susan?
A little bit,
Yeah,
Can you
as
hear
you, are you on speakerphone?
yes.
Okay.
Should I turn that off?
No, no, you want to turn it up all the way. Be sure your volume's all the way up.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Good, okay.
So the fellow that did the signs for us passed away. And another fellow, Tim Kearns, bought his business. And he's in New Jersey. And I spoke to, was it Manchester, Marblehead Historical Society, and they said, stay away from him. They said he doesn't produce, he doesn't keep his word. He's taken orders and he hasn't produced anything. So that's when I called around and I found a woman in Danvers who has picked up the business from Ipswich and Danvers and one of the other local towns, because a lot of the towns used him, and they've been very pleased. So
That's encouraging. That's very encouraging. That's wonderful.
yeah, the material is the material of the, she doesn't make them from actual wood. She makes them from a compressed board that she says lasts longer. You know, she was reasonable. She was enthused about the business. She was very businesslike, and she does the hand painting, which a lot of people don't. They've gone to vinyl.
Mhm. Right, that-
So it's all in that document, which I haven't even looked at, and I've just coming off vacation, so it's not fresh in my mind. But it's all in the document there. So there are some local people that we can talk to, you know, perhaps have been on a meeting and let them speak to the whole committee and everybody hear what they have to say and offer.
right. That sounds really good. That's very encouraging. Okay, so you have that information. Maybe you can send us all an email on that.
I'll
And-
send it again. I'll send it again. Did you want me to send it now?
We can send it when you get a chance. It doesn't have to be done right now. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's making some progress. We getting someone who can make the plaques, finding out about resources for researching. So we have an accuracy and the significance of a property, how it's connected, maybe who was there when the house was, when the most notable person that lived there in the beginning, you know, something like that.
So I have a question about that. The other towns use what I would consider professionals to do that work. And so it sounds like this committee is willing to let the homeowner find whatever they can find, and then that goes on a plaque, and that becomes officially documented. Is everybody comfortable with letting the homeowner do the research?
You're making a very good point there, Susan.
I mean, they could say that so-and-so lived in the house, you know, shipbuilder, so-and-so.
Yeah,
And really, that wasn't the original homeowner.
it may not be accurate. Well, all good
It's
intentions.
hard. It's hard to do
Yeah,
that work.
right.
I mean,
Hard to-
We could split the difference, like if the homeowner did the research and then one of us vetted it. Because that's a lot of work to do I mean,
It's
just,
kind of-
Yeah,
but yeah, it should be, there should
Well-
be some element of precision to what they're doing or truth to it, you know? Like, there's a lot of story to a lot of places around.
I think the links that Jude sent are fairly a good start, but I feel like they really need to be able to get help locally from either the office or at the city hall or at the Historic Free Library or from the museum. There needs to be some sort of oversight, I think there, or at least help verify along with the committee. Um,
I mean, if someone came to us and said, I think my house is blah, 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 and I would like to get a plaque for it, we could say, well, show us why you think that is. And it's pretty easy. If they've done all the groundwork, it's pretty easy to vet whether they, got it from a folklore book or from, something historical.
Right. Or city
Yeah.
records,
Yeah, I mean, we can't
Yeah.
say, oh no, you can't put a plaque in your house if they want to pay the money for it, but it's just a matter of like, is it? I mean, if it's in our minutes,
Right.
then it's memorialized. If someone,
Mhm.
wanted to dig or wanted to question it, then, I mean,
Well, let me just make this comment.
what can we do about it?
That the big plaque, if it's going through us, when I say that, if they're using us as a resource, it will have the Gloucester Historical Commission listed on the bottom of the plaque. So
Right.
they can go ahead and put a plaque up if they want to, and they can say whatever they want. You can't stop people from doing that.
Yeah.
But if they want to have the certification, so to speak, that if we're going to put our name, the commission on the plaque, then we want to be reasonably sure that the information is in fact accurate, because it's our obligation to
Yes.
do that.
Because our name's on it. So they should have to come to a meeting with that information. Like, there should be a
Mhm.
formal requesting. There should be like some kind of formal protocol to request it. Like, if that person that has that house wants to call up some sign maker and be like, make a plaque that looks just like this, and I'll pay you whatever for it, and I'm going to put it on my house, that's one thing. But if it's going to be a plaque that says Gloucester Historical Commission, and they're that invested in it to do all that research, the least they can do is show up to a meeting and we can take a look at that. Give us, I feel like if it's going to have Gloucester Historical Commission on it, it's something we would have to vote on. So it's not something that they can just shoot us an email and we can be like, whatever. I mean, I'm happy to go through. Someone sends me something, it's an easy check. Do you check all the boxes? Like, where'd you find it? You must have sources,
Right.
like if someone says, oh, this is the city directory and this is the map, and this is from the registry of deeds, and this is the whatever is from the city archives, then yeah, that's an easy fix. If someone says, oh, Howard Blackburn lived in this house for 6 weeks in the winter of 1889, and I want to have a plaque on it, and we're like, well, where did you find that information? Well, my great grandmother told me. I mean, they can go pay the whatever for the plaque, but it's not going to say Gloucester Historical Commission.
Right.
I feel like attending a meeting is the least they could do if they want to have the Historical Commission attached to that.
Yeah, Susan's trying to say something. Go ahead, Susan.
What Salem does is they hire Salem State history majors, and they pay them to do the research, and then the committee oversees it. Of course, we don't have that resource here, but they also then list the historic houses and the data and the ownership and all of that on their website.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're very, they have a very good program.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
And I think Ipswich does as well. I think A lot of the local towns do, actually.
Right,
Yes, but they all seem to verify. They don't let the homeowner, they don't rely on the homeowner.
right.
What is the
And-
current application
The
process
other,
There isn't one.
at all?
No,
Do people get ones that are currently marked by,
They haven't done them as long as I've been on the historical commission, they haven't done plaques.
got it?
no.
right, I have all the information and I'll send it to you all again from Prue. It hasn't been done in quite some time. There were at least 100 that are done. Several that I know of are disintegrating, and I've been approached by some people about that. So I think one of the other things we have to think about is how now, since the program has had a hiatus for many years, do we let the town homeowners know that this is available again? And if you indeed have a plaque and you want to replace it, this is, how you go about doing it. So I think we need to think about, in a way, marketing that this is available again.
Mhm.
I think that would be something that would be easy enough to post on the City of Gloucester's Facebook page or something through the mayor or the town committee. Both the City of Gloucester and Gloucester Public Works have separate Facebook pages that post regularly. I know they were doing a lot of the reporting for maintenance around town before the C-Click Fix tool came about, and that was a good resource, but we still could post most likely on one of those two, if not both, with some sort of advertisement about the Gloucester Historical Commission and the plaques coming back, so that it'll get exposure throughout the town.
I think before we do anything with plaques, though, we need to have like, this place is the option or this place is the option, and
Yep.
have some kind of like, either they do a proposal or something, because we have to vote on it.
I think
I
there
don't
has to
think-
be an application
think-
process.
I think there should be too. I don't think we can just, I think I guess I have a couple thoughts. People that have plaques now, I feel like if we get a plaque maker, a sign maker, that should be the next meeting. We review and vote, right? And then choose one, and then maybe open it up to people who already have a plaque on the house to have theirs restored or get a new one. Then we can see what the work's like before we have people going through. And so why don't we have the interested parties? I know the Kearns guy, he's out because that's expensive. Why don't we have the interested parties?
They're all expensive. The $75 price that we had was an ancient price. These are hand-painted signs. They're sealed for weather. They last 15 or 20 years. They're all about $200. Some of the vendors will mail the plaque included in the price to the homeowner, and some will not. So when you get my document, all those details are in there. And I think at the next meeting, we need to agree on which vendors we want to hear from, and then get samples, and then decide. That's my thoughts.
That sounds good.
I think honestly, if someone is that passionate about their historical portion of their home that they want to put a plaque on it, I feel like $200 is totally reasonable for a hand painted sign.
No, yeah.
For the amount of research and work that's going to go into it.
Mhm. I believe that's true. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I guess we'll talk on that the next time. But there was another little subcategory here I can think of here, and this would kind of like lead us to more information about the resource of people wanting to put plaques on their home, and that would be if it's not in Macris or if it's not one that's has a Form B, and we need to do and I've just been, I just had a request from the Universalist, Unitarian Universalist Church on Middle Street. They would like to do a Form B. They need to do a Form B because they're applying for a grant that's going to require some documentation. And so we need to have some, maybe a subcommittee on the Historical Commission, people that can assist with writing up these Form Bs. And I'm willing to work with someone on that. Is anyone else that would be interested in working on?
What is a Form B?
A Form B would be a description of the property. You actually go online and see a sample of it. It's sort of like, it has like blocks, and it has, you know, that you fill in, and then it has an area for description. And so if you see one of these forms filled out, it would be very, very valuable in determining how to do it, you know. So it's something that the state has that it's a uniform way. It's usually a 1 to 2 page description of the property. You try to make it as compact as possible while getting the information across. So the write-up doesn't get you know, very wordy. But if you look at some of the ones that have been done, that kind of gives you an idea of you know, what is required to make a successful Form B. I actually did one in the maybe more than one when I was taking a course on historic preservation. That was a few years ago. So I have to refresh myself as to you know, doing it all over again. It's a little bit of learning they have to do, but it all can be done. The form is sort of like laid out, so you just fill in the blocks, you know. So in any case, you can actually research that. Some of them might be right on Macros. I think if it's been a Form B on a property, I think you can click on it on a particular property, and you may be able to see the Form B on the Macros. So it would be good if somebody else could work with me on that, so I don't get. It's not all one person. I think we need to, you know, work together. Anyone want to join that?
Bob, what's the purpose of the Form B? What's the outcome of it?
Well, it's a documentation that becomes like an official document that you have the like someone wants to know when it was built, and they want to know what style it was, description, what was notable about the property in terms of history, you know, what activity, who may have lived there that makes the property historically significant.
So the homeowner or whatever would fill out this form and it would be validated by the state?
Well, they could.
Yeah.
And anybody can fill out one of these forms. I would say that we would probably be involved in doing the form, doing Form Bs. And as a matter of fact, part of our obligation as a certified local government, and also just being a historical commission, the Massachusetts Historical Commission would like us to do these Form Bs, you know, and they could be done professionally. You can hire someone who actually does these, and if we aren't up to it, that could be done, but that's usually done through a grant.
Wendy Frontero used to do it.
Right.
Yeah, so if you guys go on, if anyone goes on Macros and you look at the property, right? You let's say you click on, I don't know what we're talking about, 109 Western Avenue, click on it, there'll be like a little PDF icon. If you click on the PDF icon, it'll give you, I forget what they call it on that. They call it I think they may call it even the form. And it has, so there'll be like a photo of the house, fields that are filled in, and it's like maybe like 1 to 3 pages. But you can see what a Form B looks like if you click on that little, it's like a PDF icon or something I'm on a mobile device. I'm on like a tablet or a phone, so it doesn't really, it looks different for me. But I want to say like, so when you get the property, right, it'll be like GLO.4 or whatever, and you click on that, and then it'll take you to a page that has like a picture of the house and some information on like a cover sheet, and you click on the icon and it'll give you, yes. So yeah, so there'll be an icon for a PDF, Tim, that you can click on, and it'll bring you to
Excellent.
they're like typewritten with an old photo. You can scan like typewritten form with a photo that's like clipped onto it.
Right,
That's the Form B.
Right.
Yes, that's the Form B.
right, there it is.
Okay, and Bobby, you suggesting we do that? We take that on ourselves and do it for some.
Well, I'm gonna do it for the Universalist Unitarian Church, and
I can't believe that's not done already for it though.
I think they had started it, but it never got formally done.
But I can't
So
believe
I'll meet with
that's not on
I'm meeting-
Mattress.
They offered to help me with it, and I'm gonna work with them on that. Because they know a lot of the history of the church. So that'll make it easy that we don't have to go searching for information, That's the other thing. In order to do one of these, you have to, a certain amount of research might go into it. That's where you might need to get a professional like Wendy Frontiero. Since it's something that costs money, and we don't have any budget, in order to get it done, we would have to get a grant from the state to do it, So, and that does happen. That's happened in the past. Not too recent, but it has happened since I've been on the commission. And actually, she's gone and studied a whole neighborhood, And we need to get a little more involved in that, I think, as a historical commission. And that could be, in the step, in the direction for getting an inventory of properties, and though when we get a demolition delay of a property, we have a resource to go to and say, look, we have a Form B on this, so we can find out what's historically significant in terms of its architecture and history, and when it was, we'll have documentation when it was built, and so that I think would be very valuable resource for us if we do more and more of those. And also to look at neighborhoods too. And eventually, by looking at neighborhoods, we also can identify neighborhoods that maybe should be considered to be historic districts within the Historic District Commission. The historic district kind of stopped at Pleasant Street, but it could have gone over to Elm and Chestnut Street, but it didn't, sometimes the things are done because it's easier, because it's less opposition. But we kind of ran into this when we were looking at the annex of the KPM Museum, which is 14 Elm Street. That's the old telephone company building that we did a letter for them, indicating on our vote that we felt it was a historic structure that qualified. And so the street is very historic on that side, So I think that we need to look at expanding the current historic district and maybe identifying other historic districts. Gloucester's really large, and there's a lot of historic properties here, a lot of historic neighborhoods. People are afraid of historic districts because they're local historic districts do put regulations into place where if somebody wants to do something, they want to put new windows in, they have to go before the Historic District Commission to have it reviewed, and sometimes they won't allow people to take out the old windows. They will want them to restore them, or to change the siding, or anything like that, which is a whole thing separate from demolition delay. You wouldn't need it for something like that, if it's in the historic district. And there have been there've been some situations where they had to come to an agreement on what they would allow. For example, if they want to do siding, somebody wanted to put vinyl siding on, they said, well, if you go to Hardywood, we can live with that, you know? So there are some deals that can be made with homeowners, but the homeowner really is burdened. And that's why people don't want it. They're afraid of the regulation. They feel like to be able to do what they want with the property. And quite often, it could affect them financially. So there's legitimate concern there from a homeowner who's in a potential historic district and they don't want it. The plus side is if you're in a historic district, it improves the value of your property. It also improves the neighborhood so that the character of the neighborhood is preserved, and that's your environment, you know. And if this had been done long ago for Gloucester, and more parts of Gloucester have been made a historic district, such as the whole island of Nantucket, all of Beacon Hill. They were the first two historic districts in the state that were up about 1957. So we have properties here that are even older than those neighborhoods, and we didn't do it. And we have a lot of historic structures too. I mean, structures that are significant. So we just have to kind of, chip away at it and between documenting properties and then eventually getting them so they're in a historic district. Now, the historic register, the National Historic Register, does not put any restrictions on. So if a property was to be put in the National Historic Register, that also helps if somebody wants to go for a grant and if they should qualify for the criteria and that if they're on the historic register, that's a feather in their cap. And it usually means they'll get the grant without a problem. So anyway, so that's the story on that, and that's something we want to be working on. And so we want maybe we can think about that and then discuss that in the next meeting. We'll put that on the agenda, how we can increase our documentation of properties and neighborhoods. We kind of review what we've done more recently and kind of like expand on that.
I just, out of curiosity, just went to Macris and found the document for the Universalist Church, and it's actually pretty in depth. It's almost 4 pages long. The address is 10 Church Street. It's not street because it's set back further. But it's 4 or 5 pages long and has a bunch of photos and is pretty encompassing. So we could at least use that as a baseline for the Form B as you move forward.
Right. Okay, so I guess we can talk about, and then we're going to defer this item. It's the update on the sign for the green. I was contacted by the Archives Committee, and they're concerned about getting the sign up. Somebody who lived in the neighborhood had an influence in getting the sign done, and it's been sitting in storage at the DPW. And I'm ready to say to the DPW, go ahead and put it up and tell us where you want to put it, and let's get it done. You put it up where it says you are here, wherever that happens to be. So that it has a certain amount of accuracy that people will be confused when they look at it. It may not be the optimal place to stand, but at least it would be a correct location. That's my thought. I don't know. Does anyone else have a thought on that?
I've agreed with that thought since they came back with the broken sign, the incorrect sign 7 years ago. So, yeah.
Right. And they're not about.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
If we just put it where it says you are here and
Right.
someone sees the sign, they're gonna go look at it.
Okay.
And
Does anyone know where it's gonna go before we ever would vote on that? So you want to put that for the next meeting and we will vote on that when we find out where they want to put it?
I mean, if they want to put it where it says you are here,
Yep,
I don't think it can go anywhere else. I mean, I
yeah,
think it would
that's
have,
right.
I think it would have to go. So if you tell the DPW guy that it says you are here and he goes and puts it there,
Mhm.
provided he understands it, I feel like that's I distinctly remember a meeting like 5 or 6 years ago that we were gonna vote on whether it goes to you are here or redo the sign. And we never did it. I would have to go back and look, but I distinctly remember sitting in the meeting. And I was always of the you are here camp.
Right, yeah.
So
I
I'm good
agree.
with that. I feel
Yeah.
like if we just have them put the sign where it says that, I feel like we can just vote on it tonight and close the matter.
Mhm. Okay, you want to make
After-
that motion? Go ahead, make that motion.
I'll motion to put the sign where it says you are here.
I second it.
And let's see, I will do a roll call. Let's see, Lillian,
Yes, I support that.
okay, Ralph,
Yep.
Susan,
I agree.
and Jude,
I agree.
and Bob, and I say yes too. So that's good, it's unanimous.
I think you forgot Tim.
By the way, have you been appointed, Tim?
Tim's not appointed yet.
I'm not
Oh.
appointed yet, so I can't vote, but we can talk about that after.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right, okay.
Thank you, though.
When you're sworn in, then you're golden, okay?
Right.
Okay,
I was
you make a
driving-
good member, by the way, I'm looking forward to it.
I
Thank
was
you.
driving by there, the sign place on Sunday and saw a bunch of people congregated out there and thought the sign was going in. And was all excited about it,
Oh,
that it was going where it says you are here.
oh, really?
When I
Oh.
went by again, there was no sign, so
Right,
maybe next weekend.
okay, right. So I'll call Mike Hale and let him know that we have said it's okay to go ahead and put the sign up, you are here. And if they want me to go and meet with them and determine which way the sign faces, if there's a question on that, I can go over it and make sure it's gonna be presentable. Okay. Candidates for award ceremony. I'm thinking here, we haven't had an award ceremony, and we probably won't have one this year, but because we usually do it in May, and it's just too close to do it. But there's a few properties and a few ideas about what to have for awards. And I saw a property and I noticed they had put on a new wooden roof, and it's a very old property on Western Avenue, not too far from Hesse's Avenue. I said, "Gee, I wonder if we should be looking at that for for an award, something like that, And there's been probably a lot of properties that have been, worked on and shown respect for the preservation of this historic properties around the city that we never got around to give an award to, but it's been a few years. Usually it's within the same year. I don't think it needs to be, because if we haven't had the opportunity to do an award, doesn't mean we can't give an award outside of that particular year. So we need to kind of like scout around as much as we can, looking for properties you see that are being worked on. We could also look at the building permits, because when somebody's going to do something to a property, they usually need to get a building permit. So that would be a way of finding out what properties that need to be looked at. Okay.
Well,
So-
I'm keeping an eye on a property here in Lanesville. 1840s house that was purchased recently. I talked to the builder who's refurbishing it, so we may have a candidate there.
Okay, yeah. What's the address of that property? Do you happen to recall?
It's 1100 something. It's right as you're coming out of Lanesville Center, going towards Rockport on 127.
Yeah.
But it's,
The brown one?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed driving by yesterday, they were replacing all the windows.
Yeah.
Work to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like I said, I talked to the builder. He's not doing a historic restoration, but he is restoring the building. So we'll have to see how it comes out, but
Right,
just the fact that he's preserving it and not tearing it down, I think is a huge plus. But
right,
anyway, just one I'm monitoring myself.
right, yeah. There are different aspects of degrees of accuracy of
Right.
restoring. When somebody replaces window, that's a real big no-no.
Yeah.
And not to say you couldn't replace a window, but that might mean putting the same type of window back in again, you know?
Right.
Restoring windows is usually the way to do it if you're really truly restoring the property. And of course, the siding material was appropriate to the period of the house and so on, things like that. So we try to work on that. You know, I saw a house, you may have seen it, looks a lot better, but I believe it's vinyl siding. It was a house that was aluminum sided in the 1950s. And it really pretty shabby. And it's on the corner of Foster and Washington Street. It's not too far from Prospect. Prospect is the intersection that is on the other side of the street. And so it's sort of diagonally across from Ed's Mini Mart. So it's on the corner there. There's a hairdresser on the other corner, or one of the corners that's near it, and that's En Vogue, which is the next intersection. So you might notice it, they're putting up, it's a sort of a dark or a medium green, but it looks so much better than it did before. And I was just hoping it was going to be wood, but it looks like it probably is vinyl. But that it's an improvement in the property, and at least they're not tearing it down. Yeah, it's pretty hard to give an award to a property when it's going to be vinyl sided. To me, vinyl siding is the one of the worst things you can do to a property. And the only reason why it's not any worse than that is because at least you're not tearing it down, and you're probably preserving the house by putting something on it, you know. But I really like to see vinyl siding banned in Gloucester. Put that on the record. I don't think it's healthy. It's not healthy in lots of different ways. The vinyl itself and the fact that the house is not breathing. So that these are factors that I think the vinyl siding is not good, and it's certainly not that durable, really. Over time, it looks pretty bad, and after just a few years, it starts getting chalky looking, and then it starts getting distorted, and sometimes it doesn't stay on the house. So a lot of factors about that. A lot of people think they think vinyl is final. It's not. Okay. Let's see. So if anyone else has any ideas of these the things, you can actually send an email and take a picture of something and send it, and then we'll take it up on the next meeting. And it was kind of build up a little inventory of potential candidates for awards, for an award ceremony. Maybe we should take our time and maybe do it for next year. And I think by that time, we can actually all go inside and hold an event. We usually hold it at the KPM Museum, and I assume that we still can do that. I will be in touch with the museum to see if they're still good with that. Okay, did we miss anything? We did have one item here. We didn't talk too much about it. The certified
Right.
local government report.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
I just
Susan.
add something. I
Oh, I'm
just
sorry,
thought of,
Lillian.
yeah, I just thought of a property that I saw had just passed hands to a developer. And it's on Western Avenue, and it's across from Stage 4 Park, and it's an old brown, it looks like it was built in 1700s or something, with an empty lot next to it. And I'm just, I guess we should keep our eyes open. I guess if anybody sees that there's a plan put forth somewhere to tear it down, or I'm not sure what's going on. They just sold it.
I think that's on the corner. Is that on the corner of Old
I think it
Salem?
is. Yep.
Old Salem Road? Is that what they
I
call
don't,
that?
No.
It's at the
It's
peak of the hill on Western Avenue.
I'm not sure. I just looked it up. It's 200. I just looked it up on the map. I didn't actually drive by it yet. I just looked up at
Right.
I Googled it and saw the house and the lot next to it.
What's the
Okay.
address?
I think it's 200 Western Avenue.
That'd be on the left side.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I saved the page to see what it was sold, so I'll send it
But
out.
is it on the right-hand side as you're heading away from Gloucester Center?
I think, yes, and I think it's, like I said, it's across from Stage Fort Park.
Okay,
Is
so
it-
that would be an odd number, or an odd number. Is it before the Girl Scout building? I call it the Girl Scout building. It was an old schoolhouse.
I'm not sure. I want to say it's like the end of a slew of houses. So I'll have to send out the address. I'll look it up and I'll send it out.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
great. All right, that's good. We're all keeping our eyes open. That's good. Okay, I don't see anything else here. Oh, I do have something that we can talk about here. I get these every so often. And they're really, in my opinion, they're sort of like, it's only a matter of letting us have an opportunity to make a comment. And we've been asked to make a comment. It's called EBI Consulting, and that stands for Environmental Engineering. This is in regards to a cell tower that we located in the steeple of the Annisquam Village Church. I don't think this is going to be detrimental, personally, to the appearance of the building. It's certainly going to be very important to that neighborhood in terms of cell service, looking at it from that point. And so I guess they have to do this anyway. They have to give the Historical Commission notification that they're doing something at the property, even if it's doesn't seem to be affecting the appearance of the property. So I believe it will be not showing. It'll be inside. I don't think it's going to be mounted outside. I don't think it needs to be mounted outside. I'm trying to look at here, the application, the picture. I should have sent this to, I should have scanned it and sent this to you. It showed a picture of drawing of the church, not an actual photograph. This is a drawing. Existing proposed A&T, C for details, C, what's it say, C4, C3, C3. Elevation view. So equipment, top of I don't see where it's going to impact the appearance. I'm sure that the Annisquam Village Church will be very concerned about changing the appearance of a historic structure. I don't think it's a problem. I think they already have, I think they have one. I think they're just redoing it. That's what it sounds like, because it says existing proposed, existing and proposed. Existing and proposed AT&T antenna and equipment. And it says C3 for details. Let's see what C3 is. Yeah, it's so fine. I don't see it over here. This is on the other page. Let me see.
Who are these people? What's the name of the organization?
It's called EBI Consulting, and it's environmental engineering. That's the what they do. They due diligence. So they're a consultant. So they're doing this construction. So they consulting regarding that work, and so they would need to communicate with anything that may be affecting the since that's a historic structure, obviously. So would send that to us. They're asking for our potential comment, and they wanted it within 30 days, and I've had this now for almost 30 days. From what I can see here on this application, there's not going to be any visual impact of this on the structure. So I think that unless somebody has an objection here, we discuss that. We can have a motion on it and then vote on it. But I'm looking at the drawing, and it looks like there's already an existing equipment there, and they're just replacing it. And so these are, you have a cell tower, so you're going to have these what you see on a cell tower, you could see them. Okay, I believe they're putting this. It looks like they'll probably be inside, but that would be something that we'd like to know. Are they putting it outside or inside?
Bob, do you want me to reach, I have some connections there. Do you want me to reach out and get more detail and confirm?
Yeah. And I'm gonna be there, I think, later this week myself. And
Okay,
I will ask them as well, but you go ahead and use your connection there and find out, and then we'll discuss this at the next meeting. And we can maybe vote on whether we think it's an issue or not. Okay.
yep. Do you have something other than paper that you can send me, just as that
I can scan this and send it to you.
if it's not a lot of work, if
I can scan.
cover
I can
page.
scan the whole thing. And I can just email it to you.
Okay, all right, and I'll reach out and see if we can get some more information on whether it's a visible change or it's within the structure.
Right, yeah, that's good. Let's see. So I did the letter, by the way, for the Cape View Museum. That was that. And now, another thing I got from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. And say here, I'm writing to announce the beginning of the Massachusetts Historical Commission fiscal year 2023 survey and planning grant cycle. For this round, eligible applicants are anticipated to include local historical commissions, local historic district commissions, municipal planning offices, and other public and non-profit historic preservation organizations. So this is for grants, I guess. It says a survey and planning grant cycle. At this time, the writing available funding for this year, 2023, matching grant round is still contingent on the federal budget, which has not been determined yet. And so the match will be 50-50. And so whoever is doing grants for the city probably should be made aware of this and see what opportunities there might be if there is a way to be getting a grant associated with this round of grants. So I'm a little bit unfamiliar with this, only slightly familiar with it. So we'll probably need to get up on speed on this. So there's a whole thing in here. And I think what I'm going to do on this is I probably should scan this whole thing and send it to everyone. And I'll do the same thing on that other EBI consulting. I'll send it to everyone. So everyone's aware of what's going on here on those two, and we'll let it go on that. And then we will bring this back up on our next thing. Now, we did have something that was supposed to be added to the agenda, and I said, okay, go ahead and do that. Greg, are you still there? No, I guess he's not. Okay. So somebody from the city said they wanted to add something to the agenda, but I said, sure, go ahead. I didn't hear anything, so well, maybe put it on the next time. Okay, I think we've gone through everything on the agenda. And anyone would like to talk about anything that was not on the agenda?
I do.
Okay,
I think I sent you all an email. I'm giving a talk at the Beauport on April 17th of the 15 summer hotels that were in East Gloucester.
okay, that is April 14th?
17th.
Oh,
It's a
17th.
Monday night.
Okay, 17th. And what time is it?
Starts at 6.
6 o'clock. All right, I think that
I
means
already
something.
made reservations.
Yeah,
Excellent. Yes, I saw that, Rob. Wonderful.
okay. If I can't find the email to make that reservation, I'll call somebody and do that.
I will, I'll send it out again in another week or two.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. That's great. All right, look forward to seeing whoever can go there. And that's good. That sounds very interesting. I'm very much interested in the history of the hotels. Gloucester has a great history of the hotels and the famous people that came here, as well as the ordinary people who came here to escape the heat and the smell of Boston back in the day.
That's right.
Okay, and other places as well. All right, so anything else anyone want to bring up?
Well, I want to say hello to Tim. I wasn't at the last meeting and I don't know if you were there, but it's the first time I'm seeing you and I want to welcome you.
Well, hi, nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you. I gave a little bit of a background last time I was on here, but I was born and raised in Gloucester. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I've been restoring a 1800s house here in Gloucester for the last 5 years, and just have a passion for historic preservation, especially in the city of Gloucester, particularly because it's my hometown. So I met Jude, I don't know what, 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago now.
Yeah.
And he connected me to you guys. So I thought it was a great first step to get involved.
Excellent.
Right,
Glad to have you.
Thanks.
right. I can't wait
I'll
to
have
get
to,
you approved.
Susan, I'll have to get on your email list as well.
I'll put you on the list, and even though you haven't been officially appointed yet, so you
That's
can stay abreast to what's going on. I think that's very important. And then when you finally get appointed, you'll be aware of everything that's going on. Okay. That was good. And thank you, Susan, for those additions there. Anybody else would like to make any comments? Okay. Okay, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that. And so we'll have a roll call here. We have Lillian.
Yes, I second it or third it, whatever.
Oh, no, you know, say yes. If you say yes, yeah, okay. And Ralph,
Yes.
okay, Susan,
Yes.
okay, and Jude,
Yes.
and Bob here. I say yes, and so that's unanimous. So that ends the meeting of Monday, March 27th, of the Gloucester Historical Commission. And we'll probably meet on the 4th Monday of April. And so we'll look forward to that. And if we need to meet any sooner, we'll notify you. Otherwise, I expect it will be the last. I think that'll be the last Monday of the month. That's usually what we say, the last Monday of the month. And by the way, I want to recognize Ralph because he's been doing the agendas and he's been great in helping out with co-chairing for the Historical Commission. It's very much appreciated. And I appreciate all the involvement and the expertise of the members that we have. It's so important to me and the city. And volunteering is a nice thing. So that ends the meeting and you're all free to go. Yeah, I guess you can close it out, Jude. You're in charge.
All right.
Okay,
Bye, guys.
thank you.
All
Yeah,
right,
bye-bye.
thanks, Bob.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.